Dr. Virex was one of the brightest minds on the planet Zenthar, a cold and distant world known throughout the Androxi system for producing the most skilled scientists and researchers. As an alien biologist, Virex had dedicated his entire life to studying the many life forms scattered across the galaxy. His work was respected and admired by his peers because he had studied countless species, creatures that breathed fire, beings that could change their shape, and others with more than just one brain. Virex was fascinated by how life could exist in so many forms, and how these beings adapted to survive in the harsh conditions of space. Despite all his research, there was one creature he refused to believe in: the humans. To him, humans were nothing but a myth, a story told in classrooms to excite the imaginations of young students but not worth serious thought. He often dismissed the idea of humans as a joke, convinced that such a species was too weak and emotional to have any real place in the galaxy's complex ecosystem. The galaxy was filled with stories and rumors about humans. Some were passed down by space traders who claimed to have met humans on distant planets or fought alongside or against them. Pirates told tales of losing battles to human fighters who seemed unpredictable and dangerous, despite their small numbers. Yet, no clear evidence had ever been found to prove humans existed. These stories, full of mystery and wonder, were met with skepticism by many. But Virex took it a step further. He openly mocked anyone who believed the tales, calling humans silly creatures who relied too much on feelings and not enough on logic. In his mind, a species that acted on emotion rather than reason could never survive the harsh realities of space travel and intergalactic politics. Virex's disbelief was so strong that he treated the topic as a kind of joke among his fellow scientists. When others mentioned the possibility of humans existing, he would laugh and say it was as absurd as believing in flying rocks or invisible stars. He believed that any intelligent species would have left clear signs of their existence: advanced technology, large colonies, or powerful ships, but humans left nothing. According to him, the galaxy had been carefully mapped, scanned, and studied for centuries, and if humans were real, their presence would have been obvious by now. This belief shaped much of his research and conversations, making him dismissive of anything related to humans, even ancient artifacts or faint signals that some said were linked to them. Despite his harsh view, Virex was a curious scientist at heart. He had no interest in ignoring any data outright, but the so-called evidence of humans was always too thin or too strange to trust. It was not uncommon for traders and adventurers to exaggerate or invent stories to gain attention or profit. For Virex, the truth mattered, and facts were his only guide. That was why he avoided wasting time on human myths, and instead focused on species he could observe, study, and understand clearly. His laboratory was full of samples, recordings, and data from species that had been confirmed over and over again. To him, humans were a distraction, an old legend that would eventually fade away like many others before. However, this strong disbelief came from more than just scientific caution. It was also a reflection of his own culture and upbringing. For Zenthar, logic, discipline, and knowledge were valued above all else, and emotions were often seen as weaknesses. The idea of a species that might thrive because of its emotions was uncomfortable and strange to Virex. In many ways, humans challenged everything he had learned about life and survival in the universe. To admit that humans might be real would force him to rethink many of his assumptions and open his mind to possibilities he was not ready to accept. This inner conflict made it easier for him to laugh at the idea and dismiss it quickly. So, the story of humans remained for Virex just that: a story. A myth told around campfires of stars, an old legend from forgotten corners of the galaxy. As far as he was concerned, humans were no more real than ancient space ghosts, and the galaxy was safe from such strange and unpredictable creatures. Little did he know, his certainty was about to be tested in ways he could never have imagined. After the shocking discovery of the cryogenic vault and the awakening of the first human, Dr. Virex and his team found themselves facing a mystery far greater than they had ever imagined. The signal that had led them to this forgotten world was not a random noise, but a deliberate message. A call sent by the humans themselves, hoping someone would find them. Virex, who had spent years dismissing humans as nothing more than legend, was now forced to confront the reality of their existence and the unknown reasons behind their long sleep beneath the planet's surface. The ruins around them were quiet except for the faint hum of ancient machinery still at work, keeping the humans alive despite centuries of neglect. As the crew explored the vault, they realized that the humans had not just hidden themselves for safety. They had prepared carefully for the day they might return. The technology inside the vault was advanced beyond anything Virex had seen in his research, combining old Earth science with unknown energy sources that kept the cryopods functional. The deeper they ventured, the more Virex understood that these humans were survivors of a catastrophe that had erased their presence from the galaxy's memory. The atmosphere was heavy with silence and tension, as if the planet itself was holding its breath. When the first human woman stepped out of her pod, she carried an air of calm confidence that startled the entire crew. She introduced herself simply and spoke of a world lost to destruction, a home left behind to protect future generations. Her voice was steady, but carried the weight of countless years of waiting. Virex listened carefully, fascinated by how much she knew despite the long isolation. She explained that humans had chosen this hidden refuge because their enemies, unknown to Virex until now, had almost wiped them out. The humans had watched the galaxy change from their silent prison and learned to survive not by hiding forever, but by waiting for the right moment to return and reclaim their place. Virex's disbelief began to crumble as more pods opened, releasing others who looked tired but ready to act. Each human carried stories of survival, loss, and hope that stirred emotions even in the most logical minds on the team. The humans' sudden awakening caused immediate tension among Virex's crew. Some were afraid, worried that these strange beings might be dangerous or carry unknown diseases. Others were curious and eager to learn from these living pieces of history. Virex found himself caught between his training and a new respect for these people. Despite their long sleep, the humans showed signs of advanced knowledge and physical strength. Their bodies adapted to survive extreme conditions, and their minds seemed sharp, even after centuries of stasis. The woman who led them, calling herself Mira, explained that humans had developed resilience through hardship. They were emotional, yes, but their emotions were a source of strength, driving their creativity, courage, and fierce will to survive. This was something Virex had never fully understood before. As Mira spoke, it became clear that humans were more than just a lost species. They were a force shaped by struggle and ready to change the galaxy. While Virex and his team worked to restore power and communications inside the vault, the humans began activating old systems that revealed glimpses of their past. Holograms and records showed a time when Earth was a thriving world, filled with life and technology that rivaled many alien civilizations. They had been explorers, fighters, and scientists, but a devastating war with a powerful enemy had shattered their civilization. Forced into hiding, they placed themselves in cryogenic sleep to survive the dark ages that followed. Now, with new hope, they planned to reconnect with the galaxy and regain what was lost. Virex realized that this moment was the turning point. The humans had not just sent a signal, they had issued a challenge to the rest of the stars. Their return was a reminder that legends can be real, and that underestimating a species can be a grave mistake. Virex's mind raced with questions. How had the humans survived so long without contact? What enemies had driven them into hiding? And what would happen now that they were awake? The answers were uncertain, but one thing was clear. The galaxy was about to face a new player, one that many had believed was nothing but a myth. Virex's laughter from before was replaced by a deep sense of caution and respect. He and his team had discovered a story far larger than themselves, one that would change their understanding of life, survival, and the future. The humans were no longer hidden or forgotten. They had returned, and the universe was watching. With the humans fully awake and beginning to explore the ruins around them, Dr. Virex found himself watching a new world unfold, a world filled with mysteries that challenged everything he thought he knew. The humans moved with purpose, their eyes scanning the technology left behind as if trying to piece together a story lost in time. Mira, their leader, spoke softly to her people, urging calm and patience. But beneath her quiet strength was a fierce determination to reclaim what was once theirs. The humans' presence stirred a wave of unease among Virex's crew and the local scientists who had gathered. The ancient enemy that had forced the humans into hiding was still unknown, but the ruins bore signs of conflict, burn marks on walls, destroyed machines, and strange symbols that hinted at a dark past. As the humans adapted to the alien environment, it became clear they were not merely survivors. They were warriors prepared to face the dangers ahead. Their physical strength surprised even the most experienced members of the crew. Their movements, sharp and controlled, as if trained by countless battles. Virex realized that the humans' resilience was not just a story. They carried it in every step, every breath. While the humans worked to restore some of their ancient technology, Virex and his scientists focused on decoding the data stored in the vault's core. They uncovered records revealing that the enemy who had nearly destroyed humanity was a powerful alien force known as the Zarath. The Zarath were ruthless conquerors, feared across many star systems for their cruelty and advanced weaponry. The records detailed a war that had spanned decades, with humans fighting fiercely but ultimately forced into hiding when their worlds were overrun. The vault was created as a last refuge, meant to preserve the species until the Zarath threat passed, or could be challenged again. This revelation sent shockwaves through the research team. The galaxy had not only forgotten about humans, but had also underestimated the danger lurking in the shadows. Virex understood that the humans' return would not be welcomed by everyone, especially not by the Zarath, who would see their awakening as a threat to their dominance. As the days passed, tensions grew. The humans began to send out scouts and small exploration teams to map the nearby systems, seeking allies and resources. Their arrival was not unnoticed. Distant sensors picked up unusual activity from Zarath fleets moving closer to the area. The galaxy's political powers, many unaware or doubtful of humanity's existence, were suddenly forced to react. Some were curious and cautious, eager to learn more about the humans and what they might bring. Others viewed them as a dangerous, wild card that could upset fragile alliances and spark conflict. Virex found himself in the middle of a growing storm. His scientific curiosity clashed with the reality of rising military threats and political intrigue. The humans were not just a lost race rediscovering their past. They were a new power that could change the balance of the galaxy. Virex worried about what this meant for peace and stability. Mira, meanwhile, prepared her people for what lay ahead. She spoke of unity, resilience, and the need to rebuild their strength. The humans trained tirelessly, sharpening skills honed long ago but never forgotten. They repaired ancient ships and weapons, combining their old technology with new discoveries made by Virex's team. The bond between the humans and the alien scientists grew, though not without moments of mistrust and cultural clashes. The humans' passion and emotion often clashed with the cold logic of the alien researchers, but slowly they found respect for one another's strengths. Virex came to see Mira not just as a leader, but as a symbol of hope and defiance, a living reminder that even in the darkest times, life could endure and fight back. Suddenly, a warning alarm rang through the research station. Zarath warships had entered the system, moving fast and with deadly intent. The humans prepared for their first real test since waking from their long sleep. Virex watched as the humans took command of their newly restored fleet, their faces calm but fierce. The moment of truth had arrived. The humans were no longer myths or legends. They were real, and they were ready to stand against the galaxy's most feared enemy. The battle ahead would decide not only their future, but also the fate of many worlds caught between the ancient conflict. Virex felt a mix of fear and awe. The story he had once laughed at was now the story of survival, courage, and an uncertain destiny written in the stars. As the Zarath warships closed in, the tension in the research station became almost unbearable. Dr. Virex watched the humans move with a calm precision that defied the gravity of the moment. Mira stood on the command bridge of their flagship, her eyes steady and voice clear as she issued orders to her fleet. The humans, awakened from a long sleep, had transformed into a force that combined old survival instincts with new strategies gleaned from their allies. Despite their long absence, their fighting spirit was raw and undeniable. The Zarath, known for their merciless conquests and brutal tactics, expected an easy victory over what they assumed were weak, forgotten creatures. But the humans had something the Zarath did not anticipate: a fierce will to live, to fight, and to protect what remained of their history and future. As the battle began, energy beams and missile volleys lit up the dark space, starships weaving in deadly dances. The humans' ships, smaller but more agile, used tactics based on unpredictability and adaptability, catching the Zarath off guard. Virex, watching from the safety of the station, realized that the humans were not only fighting for survival, but sending a message to the galaxy. They had returned, and they were not to be underestimated. The battle raged on, with moments of chaos and brief flashes of hope. The humans' ability to work as a team, their deep connection to each other forged through shared hardship, proved to be a key advantage. They used every resource available, scavenging technology from the vault and combining it with new discoveries from Virex's team. The Zarath struggled to break through this unexpected resistance, and their frustration grew. Amid the explosions and flashing lights, Virex felt a strange pride mixed with fear. He had once mocked the idea of humans as myth, but now he was witnessing their strength and determination firsthand. Their emotional drive, something he had seen as a weakness, was their greatest weapon. The humans fought not just with machines and weapons, but with heart and spirit. This battle was more than a war. It was a rebirth. As the fight drew to a close, the Zarath began to retreat, surprised and shaken by the humans' resilience. Their fleet, battered and confused, withdrew into the darkness, leaving the humans to claim a hard-won victory. The cost had been high. Ships destroyed, lives lost. But the message was clear. Humanity was back, and they would not fade away quietly. Mira stood tall, her voice steady as she addressed her people and the allied scientists watching from the station. She spoke of unity, hope, and the road ahead. The battle had been only the beginning. The galaxy was vast, and there were still many challenges waiting. The humans would need to rebuild, find allies, and prepare for the conflicts to come. But they had proven their existence, and with that came a new era of possibilities. Dr. Virex felt a profound change within himself. The scientist who once laughed off humans as myths now stood as a witness to their awakening in courage. He began to understand that the galaxy was bigger and more complex than his narrow beliefs had allowed. The human's story was one of survival, against impossible odds, of hope rekindled after centuries of darkness. Virex committed himself to helping them, eager to learn more about their past and support their future. The bonds formed between humans and aliens during this crisis hinted at a future where cooperation could overcome fear and ignorance. As the dust settled, Mira and her people prepared to leave the hidden world and step fully into the galaxy's light once more. The cryovault, once a prison of silence and waiting, became a symbol of rebirth and new beginnings. Virex and the allied teams would continue to work alongside the humans, helping them recover lost knowledge and build a future free from fear. The Zareth threat remained, lurking beyond the stars, but humanity had shown that they were no longer victims. They were fighters, survivors, and now, a rising power in the galaxy. The legend of the humans, once dismissed as myth, had become reality, a powerful force that even the greatest enemies would have to reckon with. The galaxy would never be the same again.